I'd like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. Could we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes dated April 2nd, 2019.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the regular session board of the Selectmen's meeting of April 2nd, 2019, as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are accepted, the agenda is accepted. First item is meeting mail. We have a letter from Congressman Keating in response to a letter we sent regarding blasting at the P.J. Keating facility. And I know the fire chief, Chief Gallagher, was very involved in drafting that letter, and he's received a copy of that response. Does he want to talk about any of the issues raised in this letter? Or?
Well, the problem is it didn't solve any problems.
No,
It's just merely restated that you have a problem.
Yeah, merely setting the standards at 40 years old, you're correct.
Yeah, you're correct. We were asking him to look at possibly getting them to update the standards. And it basically, his position in the letter seems to feel that there's no problem with the current Z curve. So I don't know where we go from here.
So the issue is people around the quarry complaining about the blast, the intensity of the blast, the vibration from the quarry, and we are doing seismographic testing.
We're recording everything, and we're videotaping everything, and we're putting it up on the website, and we're putting the seismographic reports on the website. So if it exceeds the allowable blast level under the Z code, which is what we talked to Congressman Keating about, it will be very obvious. However, they haven't even come close, which is surprising sometimes when you really feel it. But what I'm feeling apparently is the concussion, the air concussion.
The air concussion.
So they say that's not what causes building damage.
It's just annoying.
That's what killed
Very
it.
annoying. So I guess I'd suggest we refer this to the chief for his input, and if he wants us to take further action.
And I sent a copy over.
He really understands this at a level I don't, but the residents are annoyed, but apparently what's being done is in compliance with law, and there's not a
Right,
lot.
still within the limits.
It's not a lot we can do about it, so.
Because the laws haven't changed in 40 years.
Because the laws haven't changed in 40 years, yes.
When it says, it does have a footnote down here, a notable omission in the letter is any mention of an air blast. So air blast impacts a structure from the roof down, whereas seismic energy impacts from the ground up. So are we testing both?
The seismic recording only requires the
Right,
ground.
so I'm asking.
So I'm not sure
if-
how we record but there's no restriction that I'm understanding of, that there is.
Yeah, it's a little confusing the way the
Yeah.
letter's written back.
I don't see that the Bureau of Mines, which is no longer the Bureau of Mines, regulates the air blast. They only regulate the seismic. So again, a 40-year-old standard not updated doesn't take that into account. It also doesn't take into account the closeness of the residential neighborhood to the blast. I mean, you're doing a blast in Utah, who cares? There's nobody near you. But here, we have residents that could be walking in their driveway and feel the air blast.
So this is written to the congressman. There's no.
This is written from the
congressman back to us to
Yeah.
answer back, but it just seems to be, it's kind of questionable, some of the answers, as Mr. Cabral alluded to, how old this is, and it just refers to the National Fire Protection Association and International Society of Explosive Engineers. But I mean, is anybody at any point gonna
Well,
try
we
to
can
redo
follow up.
these
We can follow
standards?
up the letter and say, what we're really asking you to do is
Right.
to request that they redo the standards. But I thought that was obvious in the first letter.
Right.
So
Well,
he's
that's-
obviously not answered that.
Well, I think we need to send back another letter
Yeah, and
talking
he
to them,
did,
because it just seems to be like,
he seems to be saying, you forgot to say anything about air blast, you should really be concerned about that too, but
Right.
we're not gonna talk about that. So,
right.
Again, just to the chief, let the chief understands this at a level I don't, so.
Well, we can bring the chief in to discuss it, but
Yeah.
here's the real sentence that I think I hang up on. Any evaluation of damage potential or regulatory level changes would need to be considered. That's what we were asking you. So I just
It's a
think,
well-written letter that doesn't say all that.
yeah, so I guess my question is, do you wish to go one more round? Or do we want to
I
just go to
think
Mark?
so. I mean, we're not getting the answers for the people that it's impacting, so it's just, let's send a letter, let them send us a letter back that really doesn't answer the questions or shows much concern. I would expect a little bit more from Congressman Keating's office that says, hey, well, we're gonna look into this for you, and we'll touch base with them, and we'll touch base with these bids. So maybe the chief, as Mr. Cabral says, maybe the chief be better to listen to this tape and watch this tape and see what the concerns of the board are and try to respond back to the congressman.
Because I see this as just, he took our letter, restated it, and sent it back to us.
Yes, he did, we asked questions, he answered questions, but I don't think he understood the concerns that our questions were trying to convey. You know, he answered the questions.
Well, I chose-
Almost like we don't have a mind in town.
What else can we, you know, what else, gee, sounds like you're concerned, what can we do for you? What do you suggest?
Right.
How can we help?
I spoke to Senator Markey's chief of staff, and he's willing to come meet with the Board of Selectmen. Are you interested?
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that maybe we should have a meeting when they're blasting. We get notification when they blast.
I get it usually in the morning of the blast, but under our regulations, they blast from Tuesday to Thursday. But they have to schedule a fireman to be present, so we do get enough notice. I only get the notice the morning of, but we must have it because we had to schedule a fireman, so
Right.
we can find it. But they only schedule like a week out, and I'm not sure, but I'll check with Mr. Caldwell and see when he's available. But I thought it was a very generous offer to come,
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
responsive.
Yeah.
so-
Say, yes, we'd love that.
Okay.
We'd love that. No action to be taken on that. Again, love to have the chief come in for further conversation on this.
Okay.
Next letter is a resignation letter from Council on Aging member. It's a letter from Mr. Richard DeBalzi. I am resigning from the Board of Directors at the Acushnet Council on Aging. I enjoyed the experience of my time on the board. I feel that I am not active enough to share my input. My agent helped keep me from being more involved. Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. DeBalzi for his service to the town and his service to the Council on Aging, and
Wish him the best.
yeah, and if we've got availability, let's post that and get someone else to take the spot. But thank you, Mr. DeBalzi, for your service to the community. Next item on the agenda is an appointment with Heather Sylvia and Patricia Madursky, but they could suggest that we do not take action on their item until they're here. Let them do a presentation on it. I think it's their, I think they should communicate what this issue is before we accept this, and it's a proclamation from the town of Acushnet. I think they should be here before we accept this proclamation. Recognize that, so let's defer this to a future meeting. Any old business? And invite them, whatever works for them with the schedule, our
All right.
meeting schedule.
Very good.
They do want to come in when we do this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Any-
don't really want to do it.
Okay. Any old business?
Yeah.
New business? Town administrator's report.
Certainly, this Monday I met with representatives from the Massachusetts School Building Assistance Fund and the school administration and our chief financial officer, Julie Hebert. And we walked literally the roof in question at the elementary school that is a candidate for MSBA funding. They are offering, if approved, and that's the big if approved, we would get 57.75% of the money to do it from the state. We would be responsible for the first $30,000 to $60,000 depending upon the design concept, and they would provide 57.75% of the rest of the money needed. I'm estimating that the roof project could be in the neighborhood of 1.2 million. So, and this is only half the elementary school.
What are we responsible for? I'm sorry. First 35 to 60,000?
First 35, just 30 to 60,000,
Okay.
okay? And then we would be responsible for whatever.
The remainder
the
of-
remainder, you know,
The
600 grand.
42.25%.
So that's 500K, pretty much.
Basically. And we would have to determine how we wanted to do that. There was no restriction on where we get the money from. So in other words, whether we bond or not bond, or whether we pay it out of stabilization, whatever, there's no restriction. So that could be a determination if we get accepted. So the big if is, first we got to get accepted. They were telling me that the age of the roofs that they're funding right now are 27 years. That was the cutoff last year.
We're old.
And we're 47
Right,
years.
well,
So I think we meet the first requirements.
We have seniority.
Last year, they received 60 applications. This year, they received 83. So it's a very competitive pool. So we won't know whether we're accepted until the end of the summer.
But our 40-year-old roof should give us some priority over.
Yes, they were very impressed with what they saw. They also, we got points for the fact that we have been maintaining it, and that we had not only done an appropriation last year for roof maintenance, but for this year too.
Right.
So we got points for that. We got points for the condition of a 47-year-old roof. So in other words, not doing your maintenance and letting it go does not get you precedent. In
Right.
fact, it's the opposite that gets you the extra points. So get points for the fact that we had been stepping up to the plate on our maintenance obligations.
Right.
In addition, they were impressed with the school has done a very good job tracking down leaks and not leaving the damaged ceiling tiles in place, but immediately disposing of them and putting them on. So kudos to the school maintenance staff, because they were very impressed with the fact that we were definitely making the effort to make the school presentable and to make sure that we stop the leaks, so no mold, no mildew, no nothing.
Right.
So we got points for that. And that's very progressive to actually, they're looking at what are you doing to help yourself before you turn to us. So I really like that. And so I got I probably go down in flames on this when I get denied, but I got a very positive feeling from the visit. And my thanks to school administration and Kristen Flynn, Superintendent Paula Bailey for really stepping up to the plate and getting that paperwork done.
Yep.
And getting us into line. So if we don't get it this year, we'll go again next year, but sooner or later, we're gonna have to bite that bullet and fix that roof.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and it's just the beginning, because we have they won't touch a roof that's 20 years, but I got roofs at 19 years. Right now, we're maintaining our roofs, and we're very aggressive about doing it. But if their average age on the roofs they're actually accepting into the program at 27,
We still have to maintain for a number of years.
correct. So, fortunately, I feel really comfortable, and the fact that we put the new chimney on last month before last, that we got points for, so we'll see. I put that paperwork on the portal for you as well, so you can see that and read it at your pleasure. That's what I got for you today. Yes, it's on the portal.
All right, at this point, I'd like to get a motion to go into executive session under General Law 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct a strategy session in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, police chief, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining and litigating position of the public body. I am going to do that. Public body, as the chair so declares, so we will not return to public session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Roll call vote. Mr. Gallagher, yes.
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche?
Yes.
I'm a yes. We will not return into open session. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen is scheduled for Tuesday, May 21st at 5 p.m., subject to change unless called together for an emergency, of which due notice will be given. Are we gonna
Town
meet
meeting
before?
is Monday night, and you are
Town meeting
supposed
is
to.
Monday night, open bar. And, did I say that?
7 o'clock, Fort
Yes,
Middle
7
School.
o'clock.
No hors
Hors session.
On yours, it'll be wonderful.
Spring water at the bottom.
Yep. Are we meeting before town meeting? We're not meeting. We post a meeting if we need
We
to.
post a meeting just in case.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
We can go to dinner with the staff if you want.
Okay. We are adjourned into executive session. Thank you.